They just want to be left alone and to do what they do well. And thus, Donald Trump has become their defender almost by default.
45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
I'm about an hour's drive away from that rally here in one of Pennsylvania's old Amish Anabaptist communities. These people don't like microphones, they don't like cameras. They want to live simple, very traditional lives, untouched by passing fashions and certainly the flashiness and naked ambition of US politics. And it's that commitment to that deeply conservative lifestyle, those very basic values, that's led some Republicans to want to recruit supporters from among this community. And they're trying.
There are about 92,000 Amish in Pennsylvania now. They came to Pennsylvania in the 1700s to escape religious persecution in Europe, where they were being tortured and killed and hounded for refusing to engage in military service. And William Penn and the men around him offered them essentially sanctuary, where they would be and promised them that they would be treated forever with respect, that forever their religious liberties would be respected in Pennsylvania. And so they gave up everything and came here for that chance. And unfortunately, in more recent years, Pennsylvania is breaking that promise to the Amish. I don't have official statistics, but I can tell you that I know many members of this community. I work very closely with them. And absolutely, there is a significant increase in the number of them who are willing to vote this year for the first time ever. And I can tell you there are many who are going to be voting for the first time and voting Republican.
The original goal or objective wasn't to recruit the Amish to support President Trump. I was simply trying to defend them. But it became increasingly clear that the only way to achieve their legal defense rights was to have some political change.
Robert Barnes, you are a lawyer, a litigator, and an activist, and you are reaching out to the Amish community to try to bring in their votes for Donald Trump. It's a matter of principle for you, I gather, but it's also about business. Tell me, how do you reach out to the Amish and sell the case and the person of Donald Trump?
Well, fundamentally, it's because they're getting constantly harassed by the Democratic administration, the Biden-Harris administration, and by Governor Shapiro, Democratic governor of Pennsylvania. So one of the more prominent Amish farmers is Amos Miller.
A Lancaster County farmer was once again in court for violating food safety laws by selling raw milk without a permit.
The Amish farmer was forced to stop selling raw milk in January after 2 E. coli cases from New York and Michigan.
They interpret the raw milk permit as forfeiting your right to make yogurt, to make kefir, to make butter, to make cream.
And as we speak, the state of Pennsylvania is trying to put him out of business and prohibit him from distributing food products to his customers who want his products. They're also harassing the Amish in a bunch of other ways, going after how they handle dogs, how they handle animals, how they do carpentry, how they handle workers' compensation, how they handle insurance issues. I mean, it's just been a barrage of harassment for the last 4 years. So I don't have to do much. I just have to say, look, the reason why they're doing it is because you're not politically active. Once you're politically active, maybe they'll stop harassing you, and we'll actually keep the promise the state of Pennsylvania made to them when they first came there, which is that they would protect their way of life and their beliefs and not harass them because of their beliefs.
It's a damn shame, and I'm the only one that talks about it because everyone's afraid to damn talk about it. And then they accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist. These are conspiracy, and they want to lock you up. They want to put you in jail. The ones that should be locked up are the ones that cheat on these horrible elections that we go through in our country.
So for you, is this a question of defending the rights of individuals against the power of the state? Is it about recruiting voters for Donald Trump? There are only, 80,000 Amish. That's not a very powerful voting bloc, or is it a bit of both?
It's a combination, because with the Amish, you have about 80,000 voters that could make the difference in a state like Pennsylvania that's very close. But there's about another 250,000 people who depend upon the Amish for their own economic well-being and way of life. And they're all negatively and adversely impacted. And then you have the millions of people who benefit from Amish food, who benefit from Amish carpentry, and who want to be able to continue to benefit from it. So the impact on the Amish ends up radiating out in this broad way. And the original goal or objective wasn't to recruit the Amish to support President Trump. I was simply trying to defend them. But it became increasingly clear that the only way to achieve their legal defense rights was to have some political change and for them to have more political capital, because they were looked at as people who wouldn't participate in the system, so they could be run over. And that needed to change, and they understood that needed to change as more and more of them faced harassment that they've never seen in their lifetimes or in their parents' lifetimes.
And when I think of the Amish community, I think of people who are very unmaterialistic. And I see Donald Trump, the guy who goes up and down in a golden elevator. He flies in a private jet stuffed full of luxuries. He's proud of his extreme wealth. It sounds about as far from the Amish as I can possibly imagine. And what on earth can they have in common?
Just someone who will defend their rights. That's really all they care about. They just want to be left alone and to do what they do well. They're great farmers. They're stewards of the land. They live outside of the sort of what I call the Bill Gates dystopian control grid. They are outside of big tech. They're outside of big pharma. They're outside of big food. They're outside of big media. And increasingly, the Democratic Party, if you look at who the top donors are, for example, the Harris campaign, it's big tech, big media, big pharma, big agriculture. And these have become the adversaries of the Amish. And thus, Donald Trump has become their defender almost by default.
And part of the Amish's, creed is respect each other. It is love your neighbor. And whatever you may think of Donald Trump, many love him, many hate him. You don't generally think of him as being synonymous with respect.
What they care about is, do you respect our way of life? Do you respect our traditions? Will you protect our traditions? And there, Donald Trump was a lot better in his 4 years than Democrats have proven since his absence. And then the key here, though, also is Donald Trump uniting with Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy has long been a defender of the Amish. They remember him from years ago speaking at their get-togethers, what they call Farmers' Days. And that was critical to shifting Amish perspectives at engaging in the political process. If Robert Kennedy was going to be part of a Trump administration, they had confidence that the Amish way of life would be protected for the next generation, which is what they care about the most.